Okay, key. So when I'm parked in a garage up against the wall, you'll see the front camera view limited warning, and it'll clear as soon as we get outside. But when you first get a Grenadier, you see all of these different warnings and announcements and things, and it makes you think something's not right. And basically what I've learned with time is that it's not that it's not right, it's just that you get warned about everything. And I don't know if that's the litigious society, but if something's not going to work 100%, you get a warning. And sometimes those warnings are more frequent than actual problems, because normally if something's really wrong, the display will show up in red. And so you only need to really be concerned with those red alerts that something is malfunctioning versus the warning, like the camera problem already cleared. It figured out what it can see and hear, and so it's already, oh, now it's back. So that's just an idiosyncrasy. We're not going to call it a bug, it's a feature. It took me a while to cozy up to that, because I've never had a car that told me so many things, and they're seemingly not a big deal, but I don't know. When you first get a car, if warning lights go off, you think it's a big deal. And so it takes a little getting used to. But what I've come to learn, and especially after I had this long conversation with my dealer, is that its job is to let you know if it doesn't think something's going to work 100%. And the reason it can't work 100% is there's a camera in the front windshield, and if something obstructs it, blocks it, it's dark, it's too bright, the sun's shining in it, there's snow, there's mist, there's fog, it's got a million reasons why it might not be able to function for a moment. And so you'll get that brief announcement that it can't see, but what it does is it says cameras obstructed or automatic emergency braking not functioning, because it relies on the camera. So it tends to overplay its cards, in my opinion. And so I just have learned to not be so alarmed when I see these warnings all the time. And that's a good thing. And just be aware that that's kind of how the INEOS works. And if you think about it, I haven't compared other new edition cars, because AEB and ADAS is a requirement in most cars these days. And of course, the early ADAS features were ABS. Anti-lock braking is one of the first. All cars in the United States have the backup camera. That's an ADAS feature. But the four that everybody talks about with the Grenadier are the ones that are still just coming online, as far as they were optional and now they're mandatory. And that's the forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking, the intelligent speed assist, the driver drowsiness warning, and the, what's the other one? I was doing so good. Oh, lane detection warning. So when if the camera can see the lanes in front of you and you're going above 40 miles an hour, and see, that's just, there's a lot of if this then that. I'm driving on a slow street with a 30 mile an hour limit, but normally the lane departure warning works at a certain speed and above. So it just shows as a gray. So I know that it's active, but it's not currently doing anything. And so it's looking for the lines in the road, and if it can't see a line, or the paint's faded or something, it's going to tell you that it can't work. And it's a little bit of an overkill for me as far as letting me know that it might not work, but I now understand that that's what it's doing. Nothing's broken, because that was my go-to. I've seen all these warnings. Something's not right. You know, we didn't know. It's new. It's a new car, new company. So it just takes a little getting used to. And once you get used to it, you understand it. That's the Grenadier, and that's just the way it operates. You know, different car manufacturers implement it differently. When you first get a Grenadier, you think it's so big, and especially if you come from a smaller car. But I've gotten very used to driving in, you know, my funky garage that's got a curved driveway, and the only thing is I find myself looking at height limit signs everywhere I go, because that's the only thing you have to pay attention to, is we're sort of at the top of the normal subterranean garage height limit. And so you just want to be mindful that your Grenadier will fit wherever you intend to park it. Because sometimes you go into spaces and they mark if there's low clearance in certain areas of a garage. But I just find myself looking I look regularly at garages as I drive by, just to kind of suss what sorts of heights they have. And most of them meet the requirement. 6'8" is sort of the newer standard minimum, and that works fine with the Grenadier if it doesn't have a roof rack. So now that the confetti is settled and I've had my Grenadier for 4 months, I thought I'd do a quick review on how I like my Grenadier, because I think I gave the impression to people that I hate it, and I don't hate it. I did a video about driving in the dark, and there are definitely some things that INEOS could do better with the Grenadier, and I pointed them out, and occasionally they annoy me. But does that mean I don't like my Grenadier? No, I like my Grenadier. I'm very happy with my Grenadier. It's a lot of fun. And I think that anybody that's considering a Grenadier should feel confident in pursuing one, because I know most of the comments I hear are, it's a new company with no track record, and will they be around in 5 years? Will they be around in 10 years? And I appreciate that, and I did take a leap of faith when and there's my lovely speed warning. I did take a leap of faith when I bought my Grenadier, but I felt like it was a calculated but smart risk. I feel like INEOS is well funded, and the company is expanding. Even though they have a factory shutdown right now, there were a lot of ifs. And I appreciate everybody who says, I'm going to stay on the sidelines. And my suggestion to you is that's a safe place to be, and that's fine. And I think you'll find that the Grenadier continues to thrive and retain a niche status as opposed to a mass market status, because I think that the way that they've targeted the car, at least at present, is more off-road focused, and yet I'm a 99% on-road driver, and I'll be the first to admit I'm a fish out of water when it comes to having off-road vehicles. But I'm a little guy, I like sitting up high, and I like carrying stuff around, and so it suits those purposes for me. So I'm real happy about what it's capable of doing. Yeah, there are things that could be done better, but frankly, this car is solid. It's not flaky in any sense of the word. It has some software issues that I hope that they will address, or that when they move forward that they change how they implement them. But it's about as close to a perfect 1.0 version that you can get. The steering is a complaint that people are concerned. Steering is a concern that a lot of people have, and I don't share that. I understand, and if you're new to the Grenadier, you'll find that it's a different steering experience, but it's not that difficult to adapt to. It's not so, I don't have trouble keeping my car on the road. I don't have difficulty having to constantly adjust my steering. It just doesn't seem to be that. The turning radius is another story. The turning radius, I think in future versions they should kind of tighten that radius up a little bit, because it's a little impractical on 2-lane roads. But those are all things that can be made better over time. I'm happy with the level of sound. I know that it's not a silent car, and you definitely, with this flat windshield, get wind noise. It's not intolerable. And the audio's good. The display, I like to complain about it, but it's actually good enough. And now that I can set a different brightness for daytime and nighttime, it works well. So all of the things that people tend to be concerned about aren't, I would say, don't be so concerned. Yes, it's expensive. I can't do anything about the price. All I can predict is that the price will go up. And, but that's not unique to the INEOS Grenadier. It just is kind of a fact of the times that we live in. So the comments I get about, well, drop the price, I don't think that's going to happen. I think if anything, they'll make a product that has a few more features, and they'll charge appropriately for those added features. I don't see this becoming a bargain basement vehicle at all. It's Magnus Steyr engineered in Austria, and it's built tough. And so cars like that just aren't cheap cars. So if you're considering other things, to compare them. Now's the time. And another question or concern that a lot of people have is, well, I live 2 or 3 hours from a dealer. And that is understandably the most difficult consideration, because since I had my Grenadier, I took it in once, but it was mainly for them to detail, and they adjusted a door sensor, and that was it. I've had no mechanical issues in the 4 months that I've had my car. So I would say with hindsight that I maybe don't need to be so worried that the dealer isn't right next door. But one of the reasons that I bought the Grenadier and I went ahead and felt comfortable making the decision is I live really close to a dealer, and it's a really good dealer too. So that is a consideration that you have to make, because I do hear from people that drive 3 hours to go pick up their Grenadier, and if something's not right or they need some fixing, that's a little bit concerning. But other than that, it's a pretty rock solid car. I would say, if anything, do homework on the dealer, because I've heard good things about some dealers and I've heard some not good things about other dealers, and I don't know what validity there is, because everybody has a passion about car dealers and what they're like. And my experience with car dealers is that I do business with a car dealer that I feel comfortable doing business with, and I'm fortunate that they picked really well in my city. So that's something that you'll have to kind of evaluate, especially if you're buying a car that's not nearby. But sitting on the sidelines and waiting to see how they develop the service network and some of those other things it's not the wrong move. But I'm gonna say, if that's what's keeping you, take the time to go out and actually drive one, even if it's a little bit of a schlep. Experience one, and then that'll help you decide if it's something that you want to wait on or if it's something that you want to do sooner. Because in the coming year, the Grenadier is basically going to be virtually unchanged for model year 25. It'll have I don't think there's any mechanical updates. The model year 25 is not expected to have any mechanical updates. It's only going to be the same as the model year 2024, and it may be another year before they actually roll any meaningful change into the build, because when a car's new, they just kind of go with it and they make sure that it's solid before they start tweaking and making changes to it. So I don't think there's anything that's so drastically wrong that they're having to redo them. And that's a good thing. I would suggest, if you're going to get a Grenadier, you have 2 ways of going about it. You can look for a deal of some sort on a remaining 24, and it may not have all the features that you want, or my preferred choice is that you order the car exactly as you want it, and that way you'll get exactly what you want. Because if you're going to spend this much money on a car, you want it to be the way you want it. And so I'd recommend that you take the time to do the research and make sure that you're choosing every option that you want built in the car, because some of the options you can't really add later. You can't add a winch later very easily. If you can, but I think it's very difficult because it's all integrated into the bumper. Likewise with the trailer hitch. If you don't get a trailer hitch at birth, then it's really hard to add because there's electrics that are involved and so forth. So take a little time to research the things that you want your Grenadier to have, and don't settle for anything less than that, because you're not going to save so much money that settling for something that's just a little bit less than what you wanted will be a good thing. I think most of the people that want Grenadiers are enthusiasts, they're fans, and they're the kind of people that want what they want. I know I am. So my recommendation is take the time to get what you want. And the Quartermaster is looking really good, and a lot of people are excited for that to arrive, and hopefully they'll start to show up. I was talking with my dealer just the other day. We don't know if Quartermasters are already on the water before the shutdown of the factory. So, you know, there's some question marks floating up in the air, but am I worried about the stability of INEOS? No. I think that INEOS will come out of their current factory shutdown just fine. And the car that I'm driving, although I have a couple of issues with some of the things, you know, people have heard I don't care for the key and some things like that, I think they can be worked on. I mean, I have really meaningful suggestions for improving the key. If the key stays around, I just wish there's a couple things they did to it. But it's not a bad car. Don't mistake anything I say. It's loving encouragement. It's not hate, because I got some comments from people saying, well, you're a crybaby. Why didn't you buy a Land Cruiser or a Land Rover or something? No, that's not it. I don't want to misrepresent its passion. It's not, and sometimes it's frustration. But I appreciate the comments that I get, and I appreciate your watching, and thank you for all of you that have subscribed. I always forget to ask people to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I always forget to ask. I have a lot of people that view my videos that aren't subscribers because they just don't remember, or, you know, it's not a logical thing to do. So anyway, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And I appreciate you watching the videos, because it helps me learn things about my Grenadier, and it also encourages me to learn some things and help other people know more and make better decisions. So I appreciate all the comments that you leave, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.